I would like to propose an instructional unit to teach students how to round numbers correctly. I teach adult learners clerical office skills, and one of the subjects within our curriculum is business math. Early on in the subject, we cover rounding, and my adult students really struggle with this mathematical concept. My students are in the Business Systems Technology program, or BST program, at the Tennessee College of Applied Technology in Jackson. They are typically adult students who have a high school diploma or a general equivalency diploma. They have had no further education beyond high school and have been out of high school and away from learning for several years. These students will complete the lesson in the BST classroom, that is a computer lab modeled after an office work environment. The lesson will be self-paced and self-directed with the instructor as a facilitator and coach. The lesson will cover a portion of the business math and personal finance course that students complete to receive a General Office Assistant certificate. The business math course is a foundational course that teaches these concepts that students will need to apply in the computer spreadsheets course and later accounting courses that are in the Business Systems Technology program. The goal is for students to understand the concept of rounding numbers in order to be able to apply this knowledge in later coursework. The objective is that the student will estimate the sum by rounding decimals to whole numbers. In this unit of instruction, I will be teaching students the mathematical process of rounding numbers with decimals to whole numbers. The learner will first watch a short recorded lecture video of the process of rounding numbers. Next, they will complete a drill and practice worksheet. And finally, they will complete a computer simulated shopping experience that will require the application of the rounding concept. The student will enter a computer simulated grocery store with $100, and they will be directed to purchase items throughout the store. The goal will be to purchase items that will total as close to $100 as possible without going over. And the way that they will measure their progress toward that $100 total is to round the price for each item to the nearest dollar and add it to the balance as they put the items in their grocery cart. Student learning will be assessed at 2 times during the lesson. The drill and practice worksheet will be graded, and after the completion of the computer simulated shopping experience, students will be given an exam with 50 rounding problems. With the use of real-world experience shopping, this unit utilizes the theory of constructivism, specifically anchored instruction. Students in this classroom are adult learners who often have the responsibility of buying the week's groceries for their families, and they are usually on a budget. This instruction is anchored in that real-world setting of a grocery store with a set amount of money to spend and solving the problem of making sure that the total doesn't overshoot the cash in the pocket. This is a setting that students encounter in real life often, and they will perceive the concept of rounding not as a mathematical abstract concept, but as much as a way to solve a real problem in a real life situation. I would use several different types of technology within this instructional unit. For the short lecture, I would record video using a screen capture app so that the learner could see the problems worked out on a whiteboard surface as I talk, much like a real classroom lecture. I would use a computer game to complete the drill and practice worksheet that would provide immediate feedback for each answer, and the computer game would have a timer and would have sounds for right and wrong answers. I would also use a company that would develop a computer simulated environment for the grocery store. I would use a company that develops computer simulated environments and games and have them create the grocery store and the simulation activity that goes along with that. In designing the instructional unit, I would pay attention to color and fonts because I want to set a peaceful tone. Adult students tend to have stress and anxiety over math concepts. My adult students typically are afraid of math. So I would want to have each piece of the design form a picture of an achievable task that isn't overwhelming or scary. I would use analogous colors and shades of green and blue that would show hierarchy. It would set apart titles with different shades, and it would direct the learner to new information using different shades. But I would use green and blue to provide interest and contrast, but it would also, green would convey growth and blue does convey tranquility. And so it would be both a growing experience, but also a tranquil, hopefully peaceful experience. My font choices would be those that are easy on the eyes on computers, like transitional typefaces such as Bimbo or Caslon. But I would also want to use decorative typefaces just occasionally to lighten the mood and to convey fun. I'm a big believer that learning, even difficult, scary learning, needs to be fun too. So I would incorporate decorative typefaces as part of the unit to convey some fun. How has this course content influenced how you design instruction? That was the question we were asked to reflect upon. And I have to say that everything I have learned in this course has influenced my design decisions, and it's made me more effective in designing my instruction. I teach for the Tennessee College of Applied Technology, and while I'm in a classroom, my students are self-paced and they work through their coursework independently. I'm more of a facilitator and a coach. I have had the opportunity over a year ago to put my entire course content, all 24 classes. Seriously, I'm charged with instructing 24 classes. And so I was able to put all of my course content into a D2L course shell and then have my students access it there. Even though they're in a traditional classroom working, they're able to access the content through the D2L shell, and it has worked very well. It has cut down so much on paper waste and grading time. The curriculum for my program was just revised, and so I've had to completely redo the 24 classes that I had worked so hard to put online. So as I have worked through that revision, through revising and updating the content to match our new objectives, I have really thought about how to structure it so that my assignments are identifiable to real-world problems and experiences, and how it's conducive, how I can build it so that it's conducive to building constructive schemas, or presented in such a way to promote encoding or active learning. So I've really used things that I have learned about the theory behind it, and I've worked on my content pages. This course in particular has taught me a lot about how to make them more readable, how to highlight important headings, how important that is because that guides the student, how I can guide the student using typeface and color and imagery that is not disrupting or confusing, but is relatable and readable. And my learning about how we learn in theory and in approach, and what influences how we learn by the visual pieces of instruction, have made me much more effective and aware in creating my instruction in this complete revamp so that it is engaging to the learner and effective for the learner. So that is what I have learned in this class that has helped me out tremendously in my field of work.